Happened in the 90s.
A new game is here for your Super NES Super Scope, so prepare yourself because this one fights back. Introducing Battle Clash. 10 levels where monster machines get totally in your face. Battle Clash, it's more than a game, it's a breakthrough.
Have you been inside all day?
Only on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with superpower.
Okay, so I want to address another snafu that we may have made in a previous episode. And I hate talking about old shit, but we talk about a decade, 20 plus years ago. So we talked about Dream On when it debuted, and the main guy, Martin Tupper, that's the main character, is played by actual Brian Benben. Yeah, Denny Dillon is an actress who was in another horrible season of SNL. Denny Dillon was in the season following the original cast leaving. She was in season 6. It's also the cast that Charles Rocket was a part of, where, you know, he did the infamous I Want to Know Who the Fuck Did It little hot take. But yeah, Gilbert Gottfried was a part of that cast, and she was also in a sitcom called Women in Prison on Fox. It was one of the early sitcoms in the birth stages of Fox. It was basically a sitcom about women in prison.
I mean, Orange is the New Black is out now, so I guess they were ahead of their time.
Well, yeah. I
mean, but that's
Fox.
My fault, Steve, because I actually said that name, so that's on me. And I have another mistake that I'm calling out. I mean, again, it's on me. You know, we put out clips of our show, and I'm usually very diligent when I edit to make sure that everything's good. Last week, I made a clip of our episode that was talking about us living on the wrong side of the tracks. But if you watch the clip, there's a bunch of audio snafus, if you will, that I didn't take out. So it's very confusing right at the beginning. There's just rapid fire like audio hits that make absolutely no sense. That's me. I did not edit those out. I didn't realize they were there. And I just realized that they were still there this morning. So double fuck you to me for making all these mistakes.
You lose.
My apologies, but we're human, Steve.
Well, yeah, I noticed that, but I thought you were just trying to add a little spice, a little bit of flavor.
I mean, honestly, it did work. I mean, they were 90s sound bites, so I guess I should have said nothing and just let it ride, but I'm an honest guy, Steve.
But the Denny Dillon, Brian Benben thing, I couldn't let slide because we like to get our facts straight, more so than Fox News, motherfucking fair and balanced. We're fair and balanced. We set the bar.
You're right. So apologies. I'll stop just yelling names out at random. I looked that show up. I'd never seen the show. I didn't bring it up. And then I started running my fucking mouth off, Steve. And, you know, it's a problem. So again, my apologies. This is not a reflection of Steve's preparedness. This is more of a reflection of my unpreparedness, which I acknowledge.
I'm not gonna let you sink in this shit by yourself, man. You know, I co-signed it. I went along with it because, you know, I like, hey, man, like you said, we're human. And
but also,
you know,
Steve, can I say this? I'm sorry to interrupt. No one ever saw the show. So nobody's going to be like, no one's calling into the Happened in the 90s hotline going, hey, Dream On, love the show. There's nobody saying that. The people that we're talking about, they might be dead for all we know. Maybe not. But you know what? You're right. We're covering it's like we're 2 decades away from this shit. We can't be responsible. But I did see some clips of Dream On, and I will say I regret not knowing about it as a youngster because I would have utilized all of that instead of a Sears catalog.
Oh yeah, it was before its time, cutting edge, man. And you know, I would play dumb if I was in presence of grown folks and that show came on. Oh, I didn't know.
What?
Oh, what?
Ground shaking ass. I had no idea.
Ground shaking ass.
That's one of the greatest clips of all time, Steve.
Man, I wanted to see what that mama looked like. I like the way she sounded. Ground shaking ass. Yeah, ground shaking ass.
I don't know what this shit is.
Something else I want to address. Fucking Hulu. I have noticed that they have this little label on some of my favorite shows, predominantly TGIF variety. Expiring. How fucking dare you, Hulu? How, man, I swear, Doogie, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers. What about Balky's? They got to have a home.
Where do you think they're going to go? Or were they going to make like if I got to pay for another fucking app, Steve, I'm going to lose my I'm paying more for the apps than cable at this point. It's becoming ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Hanging with Mr. Cooper's? What the fuck? Hey, man. We're in the fall season. This is a time for TV, Hulu. This is the time. Z time. Thanks.
I mean, I'm scared for the quality of the show if we lose this, because where are we going to watch these shows, Steve?
I got no place else to go.
I've been noticing it. I've been hoping that it's like an aberration. You know, it's one of those things where you like pull the covers up and you hope the monster's gone. I hope the next time I check, that's just going to be gone and we're just going to continue to watch, because they did that for The Office for a while too, before they took it away. You know, maybe we'll get some extra time, but my sneaking suspicion is there's going to be some sort of ABC app, and we're going to be forced to get the ABC app that's only ABC shows, including all the shows that we're talking about, which is some bullshit.
Well, if they do bring it to Disney Plus, because, you know, Disney owns ABC, ESPN, Boys to Men, ABC, BBD, they could bring those shows there because, I mean, those shows are family friendly. There's no like, you know, out there like edgy like elements in any of those sitcoms. Perfect Strangers is safe. Even Mr. Cooper, you know, of course, Family Matters, all of that shit. If they do that, I might have to renew my Disney Plus, man, and sacrifice one of the others.
Oh, I just am like pissed that because I saw this coming. I was like, they're gonna just take the channels and make us pay for each channel now. Now that we don't get cable like we used to, that's what's gonna happen. And I hate Disney Plus unless I need it. Like the shows that are Disney Plus originals, like all those Marvel shows and Star Wars shows, I'm into that. But they're gone quick, and then you're just left with, you know, I like a good episode of Chippendales Rescue Rangers or like one of them, but I'm not binge watching those shows, and I'm done with them unless we need to watch them for this show. So I guess I never thought that would be the place to put like TGIF would be Disney Plus, because I mean, that is what they own. But again, my sneaking suspicion is they're going to figure a way to make you pay for these shows specifically and create another like Nickelodeon gas type thing that's just old school TGIF, and that's what the app is. I hope they don't do that, but people are getting fucking greedy, Steve.
I hope so. Yeah, man.
I'm sick of it. Can I get can I watch something without getting gouged? And everything's less quality. I was like, okay, HBO Max, I'll get to watch Hard Knocks and shit like that too. Hard Knocks sucks a D. Everything's less good now. There's too much.
Is it because it's the Cowboys, Matt, this year?
It's not, because they were just on Hard Knocks and I liked it the last time they were on, but now the fucking formula for Hard Knocks is so cemented in that you get no variation. It's like you could watch episode 1 of this season and the last season, and it's the only thing different is the team. They're saying the same things. The coaches are acting the same. And it's just, you know, I don't want to see the Steelers on it. But I'm just saying, like, TV in general, unless it's these new multi-billion-dollar shows like Marvel shows, I don't know. I don't like a lot of the new shit. I sound like an old man, Steve. Back in my day.
I'm old and I'm not happy.
And the shit with the Nickelodeon, they're not even giving you like the full the full Monty, man. You're getting like nitpicks. Here's editors' picks. Like, no, motherfucker, fuck them editors, fuck them picks. I want the whole season.
Go get me my chips with dip.
Or they're censoring the shit they put, like WWE. Like, as far as you've been telling me, they're taking shit out of episodes. It's like, are we acting like it was on TV, guys? Like, you can't just watch some old shit and just not overreact to it.
For real, man. Like, I can't see Jake the Snake pull out a fucking cobra at Macho Man's reunion.
That's a huge thing. That's like the biggest part of that episode of the pay-per-view or whatever, and we didn't even get to watch that. People now, some kid's gonna be like, why are they all mad at each other?
What, what's going to happen when Undertaker throws Mankind off the cell? Are you just going to do a little quick clip of Punky Brewster and then come back and the man's just laying on the table?
It's just like that SNL cut when Martin went on his monologue. It's like, at this point in the show, Mankind plummeted into some tables. It's just a description and some still images and shit.
I can't watch the Yakuza gang chop up Val Venus, Wang, like that.
I forgot about that. Holy fuck!
Now
you're not going to see that.
Your pee-pee.
You're not going to see that. That's gone. That's erased from reality, Steve.
They probably don't even have the whole episode, the episode at all. They probably just Thanos.
I got a shell and 2 starfishes.
It's called Me Day.
My mom says he looks like my daddy's boss.
It's the day when everyone in Mrs. Meyer's first grade brings something from home
My daddy cut it for me.
and shares it with the rest of the class.
Jack, you want to come on up?
On this Tuesday morning, Jack Moore brought something different.
This is my dad. His name is Jack, like me. Sit down. Last Saturday, we built a doghouse. Maybe someday I'll get a dog. Every Saturday morning, we let Mom sleep and we go to McDonald's together. That's where we tell each other things we'd never tell anybody else.
At McDonald's, we never planned on being part of Jack Moore's Me Day, but we're glad we were.
This is my dad. He's my best friend.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G. What happened in the 90s, the show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. So get out your hammer pants and your Hideo Nomo jerseys, because Doogie's got a gun. It only just begun. What did his daddy do? What did Vinny do? You gotta
Oh, we're going to hear a lot of that today.
Gone away, gone away, gone away. Yeah. Now, we don't really talk much about Aerosmith because we don't give that much of a fuck about Aerosmith, but they've had some bangers. Dream On, they did the shit with Run DMC, and I remember they had the performance with Run DMC and Kid Rock at a time when I thought Kid Rock was cool. I'm guilty. But Steve Tyler, despite being a Steve, he kind of looks like the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons now. I don't know if you've seen him recently, but yeah, man.
He looks like that he's mid-transformation. You remember Black Hole Sun, the video?
Yeah.
When the people's faces are like melting back. He's like halfway into that. I mean, some DSLs on this guy, but it is what it is.
Always.
Yeah, man. But I also will say, just from a adolescent point of view, I appreciated the song Crazy more so for the hot video with Liv Tyler and
his daughter
and the chick from Clueless. I forget her name at this moment.
Alicia Silverstone.
So hot. So I wish I was that gas station attendant. Just let me see those pics.
Yeah, man. Wasn't she Poison Ivy or was that Uma Thurman? Or am I getting them mixed up?
Uma Thurman was Poison Ivy. Liv Tyler was in Lord of the Rings.
No, Alicia Silverstone. She was in.
Oh, Alicia Silverstone was Batgirl. That's crazy. No pun intended. That's crazy. Yeah, she was in that. She was in Batman for sure. I forgot about that.
Crazy. Yeah, man.
Alicia Silverstone. There's one. She got through. She snuck through. You know, I don't think Alicia Silverstone's gonna win any acting awards. No offense.
I mean, I think she might still be hot though.
I wouldn't know. I mean, she was hot and Clueless. I mean,
Fuck yeah.
all the ladies in that were hot. What's that one? Stacey Dash? Is that her name?
She's still fine. Even in like when she was doing the Fox News shit. You know, I was like, damn, what a waste of fucking hot. Like, that's so, like, you're saying these words on that fucking show. Like, oh my God. Like, it takes
what
away
a
from the
nightmare,
hot.
though. Imagine getting a date with Stacey Dash before you knew all that personal shit, and then she starts spouting off at the mouth like that. It's like, are you serious? I'm not going to be able to go. Like, I'm not going to be able to date this person.
Yeah.
Steve, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you put up with it?
Fuck no.
Okay.
No, I'm 38, man, and like I don't put up with. This is Stacey Dash, man. I wouldn't put up with a hot chick from fucking Luby's who she worked at a fucking buffet or something. Like, so I don't care, man. Like if I'm not gonna put up with it, Stacey Dash, and like, you know, quintessential 90s hottie, I'm definitely not gonna put it up with a regular schmegular. I don't give a fuck what you do. No, man. Like, I have to respect me. I have to love me first.
I mean, we need to get that page going with you as like the love doctor, Steve. These like quotables you have are just, you're the next self-help guru. I'm telling you, we got to get this going.
Watch out now.
What was your Steve Harvey impression? What was your Steve Harvey?
Think like a man, act like a bitch. Hold up now.
I'm from Cleveland now.
I'm from Cleveland now. What the hell you say? You know, I don't want to steal shine from Godfrey. I gotta give it to him because his Steve Harvey is impeccable. Godfrey is like a slept-on comedian. Also, he has a lot of good impersonations, but he's funny as fuck. And that dude, when you hear him talk on podcasts, fucking like hyper intelligent. He seems like he should be like a college professor. Yeah, he went to University of Illinois. He's from Chicago, and he was actually on the team. He played football, so like that's why you still see him. Like, he still gets it in, man. He's solid, man. That motherfucker, him and that guy. There's another guy that's like a quietly yoked comedian. He was on SNL. He does all the impersonations. He's not. I don't think he's on it anymore. Jay Farrow. That guy, dude. That guy. Yeah. I remember seeing like something in LA he did. I think it was even a live show, and the dude like flexed on stage, which sounds weird, but I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Is this guy gonna be in a Marvel movie? Did he get like the Kumail Nanjiani drugs to yoke up, or? Dude, I met him in Houston, man. He had a show at the Improv. I didn't go there, but I was at the barbecue spot that him and his crew went to afterwards. Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I totally didn't know that was going to happen, man. It was like, oh shit. I had never, you know, I'm an SNL fanatic. Oh yeah. And I was like, oh man, like I was actually on a date, and my focus quickly shifted to, before I leave this place, I got to meet Jay Farrow. And, you know, I rolled up to him and I was like, hey man, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but like, man, I hate that you left SNL, but I get it. We didn't have too many representations on that show. Yeah. And then what essentially happened, I did take up a lot of his time because I heard one of his dudes in the background was like, man, thought you said you weren't going to take up my time. Like, shit. Well, all right, it's cool meeting you, man. But he was cool the whole time. It's like, yeah, man, you know, and I had said some things that he wanted to try to be short on words, because I had to say Fred Armisen. I was like, man, they keep bringing back this hack, because I think he was a guest host. He was the host recently for that season. It's like, man, they brought him back, and he's going to be the new Obama. You are way better, Obama. And he was just like, oh, you know, man, oh, you know. Yeah, right. You recording this? Like, oh, shit. But right. Cool. I mean, he seems so hella approachable, though. He doesn't seem like a prick, so that's cool. That's hilarious. You heard that guy like, man, come on, man. Yeah, man. It was 1 second. Yeah, and I did start to take up some time because, like, that's why I don't approach anybody who I idolize, because I can't.
I just wouldn't be able to not do that. I my ideal seeing a celebrity moment would be like, hey, like one of those, like an acknowledgement. I don't want to like actually walk up to somebody because it never goes, like to me, it just never goes well. But that's cool. He was awesome. I mean, that guy's funny as fuck. And I saw him, like I said, they have these shows out here that they do. It's like they actually do them in like in a movie theater in Hollywood, like right by. It's at Man's Chinese, but they'll do like it's a black show, and they'll have like some, you know, pretty like mid-level comedians who you may never heard of. But then like that night, Mike Epps showed up, Jay Farrow showed up, and there was somebody else who showed up, and I just can't. Oh, D-Ray was there.
Oh shit!
So it was just like random. You get like you see what's on like the actual bill, and you're like, I don't know, like we went for free, but then like those guys showed up and they were all fucking. I mean, D-Ray's fucking insane, bro.
Yeah, dude. Well,
this one guy, this is real quick, but like there was a guy who fat as shit that they put in the front. It was in a movie theater, so like the front row was the front row of a movie theater, and then the stage was like, you know, where it would be where the movie screen is. And this fat guy was just getting shredded by everybody on the bill because he had like all these like really nice clothes on, but he was fat as shit. And as soon as D-Ray came, the guy got up to leave, and D-Ray was like, no, you sit your fat ass down real quick, and made this guy sit down, dude, so he could fry his ass. It was so fucking funny.
Oh my God, man. You know, and let me guess, he had on like bright colors that made him stand out even more, looking like Kool-Aid Man.
It was like, from what I remember, it was like a pinstripe suit because everybody was like, oh, you trying to use vertical lines, man? Like, because this dude looked like a jail cell that just fucking like got melted in the middle. It was wild, dude. But I just remember that because D-Ray came out and he saw the guy like get up and leave. He was like, you sit the fuck down. It was so crazy.
Those Chicago comedians, I tell you, man, a special breed. But today we're going to be talking about all things October 7th. And in 1990, Grim Natwick, American animator, dies. He was known for being an animator for Fleischer Studios and most infamously the creator of Betty Boop. He died of pneumonia and heart disease 2 months after celebrating his 100th birthday.
God damn. 100. Look at that guy. Jesus.
Hundo.
That'd be. I always wanted, because I had a grandma that made 102, like 104. What is that gotta be like? To see, think all the like what old like somebody that age right now saw as like a human being. They saw like the Great Depression, all the world wars. And all this shit now, it's like they've lived in like the greatest movie of all time. Now the shit's boring, but
man, I don't know.
This guy, what kind of crazy shit was he drawing back in the day?
Oh man, right. Well, you know, those old Fleischer fucking animations and even those Looney Tunes, they have like little crude things, kind of like pre-Ren and Stimpy kind of deal, man. Who's the guy? Ralph Bakshi. He's like over the top with his crudeness.
What was that one called? Felix the Cat, where it was all like perverted shit. Exactly. Yeah, hell yeah. Like that vibe. I mean, as a kid, I love watching it because every once in a while I'd be like, oh, titty.
Exactly.
Do some wild shit like that. That and what was the other one? The South Park spoof. Oh, Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal.
That wasn't Fleischer. I'm just, I was just like an adult cartoon, but
that is Ralph Bakshi, though, I believe.
Oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense. It seemed like all of those were like sort of in the same vein, but yeah, that's wild. This guy created Betty Boop, though. I mean, what a leg. That's people are still fucking putting that shit on t-shirts now.
Yeah, she's kind of had a resurgence. I want to say maybe in the 90s or might have been earlier than that, man. But, you know, she's kind of a icon in a way now because you see women from time to time rocking that short hairdo a la Jada Pinkett in the early 90s. You know, low down, dirty shame, Jada.
She's just like kind of like a sexual empowerment icon, like an image icon. You know, it's like she was one of the first female images. It was kind of like boop boop be doo, like sexy. You know, I didn't like what I just did, but you get it.
Well, hey, you never know who's watching. But in 1991, on October 7th, Blossom is airing the episode I'm with the Band. Blossom is on a school band trip, and Nick fears Anthony is messing around.
Crossover alert. Crossover alert.
Don DeMarco.
So this was brought back a lot of memories for me because we're dealing with band nerdom, which I was a band geek. And like we said, crossover, Steve. Who's going to show up in this episode? Who is it? Is it?
Doom, 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 doom. Hey, man, we just saw you a half hour ago on the episode Granny Gets Busy.
Yeah, what the
fuck?
It's
you, Willie from Philly. Grand Reyes.
Will Smith himself makes an appearance. At first I was like, did they trick us? Because I didn't think he was going to show up for a while, but then lo and behold, we get a crossover. This didn't happen a lot. Back in the day, if this happened, this was a huge fucking deal.
Huge deal. Like Urkel showed up on Full House. Oh shit.
What? Everybody shut the fuck up.
The world just stopped. Oh my God. But did you catch in the very beginning, in the opening scene, a very familiar tune is played in this episode?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Dude, I did. Dude, our theme song is featured on this fucking episode, Steve. And I didn't know that it was that I had ripped it from an actual episode of television. I don't even remember where I got the song. But hey,
it's a very popular. You're a genius, Matt. Like it was a popular thing when used for such, like, even if it was used in a parody of a 90s show or something like that. It's used, I feel, in like infomercials, maybe.
Yeah, there's like nature. Songs that you hear a lot. Like It's Always Sunny does it too, where it's like a garage band standard that's just in the program as like commercial bumper song. And you hear it on everything. It's on an episode of this or that. But I was proud that I was like, holy fucking shit, is two videos playing while I'm watching this? You know, I kind of had a freak out. I was like, what the fuck's going on? But I guess I did some good research, and it's just proof positive that this is the 90s podcast that everyone deserves, Steve. We do our research, people. So I don't want to hear it.
We set the bar.
But again, the first thing I always have to point out about Blossom is the theme song and all of the white girl dances that she knocks out in the intro of this show. I mean, every one of them. It's like every Carlton dance that he does, Blossom does. So
the Carlton dance, the Cabbage Patch. I think she even did some Betty Boop shit in this little intro.
So there's a Running Man in there. There might be a sprinkler in there. You know, she's getting it. But I love the intro, and I just love the statement, in my opinionation. I just wish I could use it.
There's a Randy Newman.
It sounds like him. Is it him? I don't know.
No, I don't think it is. Let me tell you about a story about a man named Woody. He really is a dow.
Take a long hard look at Wendy. The Family Guy, when they spoof him, is so good. But who doesn't like a nice Randy Newman? And this is proof positive. If it is him, I wouldn't be surprised. But the Blossom theme song, I mean, it's it's got to be in the upper echelon. I don't know. I'm not going to say top 10. There's a lot out there, but just the use of my opinionation. Again, I'm going to try to do it, Steve. The next time that we see each other, I'm going to use it as much as I possibly can. I'm bringing it back to the lexicon.
And then you know what'll happen when you do that? The sun is going to show it. Smile. Now, in the opening scene, everyone's in the living room, and Blossom and Sticks are packing their lives into a bag for this marching band trip. typical. I hope this doesn't sound too misogynistic, but like I'm very familiar with this. You could be packing for one day, from my experience of the girls I dated in the past, and it's like, why are you? This is like 5 different wardrobes. Why we're here for 2 days?
It's every option, Steve, because I say the same thing to Kendra. I'm like, we're going someplace for the weekend. Why are you packing the biggest suitcase we have? And it's like, well, what if it rains? What if it gets cold? It's like, what?
She does. Well, Melissa Alter knocks on the door, and she's the senior chaperone. And I think she makes somewhat of a good impression on the dad, appearance wise. And Joey, whoa, he's smitten immediately. And he tries to bark after, and she shoots him down.
Yeah, in the show, but in real life, Joey got in there.
Whoa.
And
this is after he meets the whole bus of band geeks, and I hope I don't get any doofus dust on me. So, nobody uses that term anymore. That's such a 90s antiquated thing. Doofus and dweeb.
Yeah, that's like cowabunga, like that kind of thing. It's out. But doofus, you'd probably see, here's how it's too sensitive now. If you called somebody doofus, they'd be like, that's insensitive. That was a term for retarded people, and I can't even say that. So that's a term for mentally handicapped people. So doofus, though, I love that term. We're bringing a lot of stuff back, Steve. I think that's the other thing we need to keep in mind here. We're gonna bring back opinionation. Doofus, dweeb, I can do without.
Yeah, dweeb. I never liked dweeb. I feel like dweeb hit its peak in the 80s. I feel
dweeb is like, I picture Ferguson from Clarissa Explains It All. That's a dweeb. That's the dictionary definition, but again, whatever. But Joey's out here. He's trying to get his dick sucked. He's going on the bus, and the bus is right outside.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck kind of trip? Are they just like pulling up to each house and shit? Like,
is this Baptist church? What the fuck?
Yeah, right. They're going on their mission trip, Steve, to fucking hell on earth, San Francisco.
Something else I want to add on is Grandpa Russo. He's a new addition to the cast. We're in season 2 of Blossom now, and he serves a particular purpose. Blossom has been considered one of the most very special episode-ish kind of sitcoms, and it's too Kichi, let's talk about her feelings and emotions. And here comes Grandpa, who kind of sounds like Grandpa Pickles from the Rugrats. I vaguely remember him. When I saw this episode, I was like, oh, I totally forgot about his character.
I didn't remember the character, but I remember the guy. I've seen the guy on a bunch of shit. He's like the old man, like this shitty old man in a lot of things. But I didn't remember that this character existed.
Yeah, and he's here to poke a hole in all that Care Bear bullshit. So shout out to Grandpa. Now they make it to the hotel room, Blossom and Six, and they're just swooning over the fact that Fresh Prince himself just might be in the same hotel they're staying. So they bust into the Fresh Prince theme song, or their best rendition of it. And I think I give it at least 4 stars. They were on beat. They replicated the beat, and
Now this is a story all about how my life got slick turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
I'll give it a golf clap, Steve. I'll give it a golf clap.
Yeah.
For some young white chicks, they killed it, because it could have been a disaster.
Nothing less than modest. And they order Cheerios and milk, all served in a silver platter, with, it looks like the roadie of Motley Crue. And, he's very just smug. Yeah, what if you get some Cheerios and milk?
What are you guys, broke? Huh?
Yeah.
And this is also a couple of notes. This room that they're in, they're at like the Four Seasons in San Francisco. I can only imagine how much this school is paying for the hotel bill. And then they order their cereal room service, which that's just trash, ladies. I mean, you're ordering cereal for room service. That's trash. That's questionable. But then this guy comes up that looks like he's in like a cover band for Pearl Jam. And he's like suggesting, hey guys, fucking charge it to the room. Get whatever you want. Get a fucking steak dinner and charge it to the room. Everyone else is. Fuck the money. Somebody else is going to pay for this. So now these chicks are ordering. They're doing like a Kevin McAllister. They're ordering it all. Steak, eggs, fries, a cake, some whatever.
Liquor.
Yeah, a couple of sliders, whatever. Some fucking eggs Benedict. Who knows? And they're racking up the bill. But this guy's like, hey, just charge it to the room. So this is something that keeps going the rest of the episode. This fucking, I don't know how this like grungy Seattle guy has made it to be a bellboy in San Francisco. And is this something he does to get more tips? I guess, because I think he even says you can charge a tip to the room too. So this guy's just trying to get some money, I think, basically. He's trying to get paid.
Give attention. No, that'll be some gratuity, please. Now, something else we forgot to mention, Anthony, as we know, he's a former addict and he's been trying to kick his habit throughout the course of this series. And Grandpa Russo, he feels something's going on. Because, Anthony, he's been acting a little funny, more so than usual lately.
Tony's back on the junk.
Yeah.
I've been around the block. I know a junkie when I see one. Your son's a junkie. This is the granddad's basically the shit starter of everything. Like, he's just there to be like, your kid's a fruitcake, or like he'll throw one of those things around,
I love it.
But you're right. Tony's acting sus, dude. To use some new terminology, Tony's acting very sus, and maybe he did fall off the wagon.
And meanwhile, Blossom and Six, they're going crazy about these basic ass features of a hotel. They got a gym, a masseuse, and an indoor pool. 2 of those 3 things you could get at any fucking Holiday Inn.
Guys, hot water. There's hot water. Like, okay. There's fucking towels, ladies. Get used to it. Where have you gone before? Fucking hostels?
Yeah, seriously. Heifers ain't never been nowhere before. But this is 91. And I guess at this time, an indoor pool, a gym, and a masseuse, that's like, oh my God.
But then they're like, oh, the mini bar. It's like, ladies, how are you this fucking, you don't know from going anywhere that shit costs money? You're that dim? Because when I went on any vacation and as a fat kid tried to touch any of that shit, I was immediately been like, get your fat hand off of that. It's like $20 for a pack of M&Ms, for God's sake.
For real.
But then we cut back to the
same
house.
Time, Joey.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Joey wants a tattoo. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we cut back to the house and Joey is with his dad and he's like, hey, man, check out this new tattoo design I got, which is weird anyway. Who takes their fucking tattoo designs as a kid to their parents? But whatever. And turns out Joey's in the market for a tattoo. And it's not a tattoo that's going to go on his arm or his chest or something. This is a butt tattoo, Steve. A butt tattoo.
What kind of tattoo is it? It's like a Star Trek tattoo?
I didn't.
Which one of these do you like better? The bulldog or the screaming eagle?
All I wrote was butt tattoo. And I think that's really all you need to know. Joey's that kind of guy where he's about to get a tattoo on his ass. And his dad's not having it. But here's the thing, Steve. Granddaddy Shitstarter's there. And Granddaddy Russo's like, I think it's kind of funny that a guy with an earring is going to tell his kid he can't get a tattoo because both of them seem fruity as shit. I mean, that's essentially what this guy said. And the dad's like, hey, man, this is my kid. Watch your mouth. And the granddad's like, yeah, whatever with you fucking vagools.
I think Grandpa Russo would be canceled in today's culture.
Grandpa Russo would not be on the show in today's culture. He wouldn't be saying these things. But that, Joey wants to get an ass tattoo. And Steve, would you ever do this? I'm questioning Joey's sanity at this point because the idea of getting an ass tattoo is just like, what's wrong with this kid?
Any tattoo that I get on my body, it has to be important. And Star Trek has never been that important to have anything Star Trek on my body. Not even a goddamn t-shirt. And I like Spock, the character, for what he serves for the culture, pop culture. I like William Shatner. Think they're pretty cool dudes. R.I.P. Leonard Nimoy. But I'm not getting anything on my butt. No.
Yeah, anything on the butt, no. I don't know why I care because I'd never see it, but it seems weird. But anything that's a brand, it's like, come on, dude. Get whoa on your butt. That'd be a great butt tattoo, actually. There you go.
And meanwhile, Six and Blossom are making mixers, and they're mixing I don't know, Merlot with goddamn vodka with motherfucking Cavassier.
It's like a mini bar suicide that you would do at like 7-Eleven. It's just like, hey, what's in here? Okay. They would be getting fucked up if they actually drank this shit.
Yeah, because they ain't even ate shit. They're making all kinds of rookie mistakes. All they're going off of is some Honey Nut Cheerios and milk, and then they're gonna follow that up with some liquor, mixed liquor. You don't mix liquor, and you don't drink on an empty stomach.
But Blossom's like, they mix the suicide drink. They're basically doing chemistry experiments with liquor on this table. But Blossom's like, I'm not going to drink that because I don't want to turn out like my alky brother. I don't want to go to that life. But Six, who I said is a party animal, is like, I'll still send this. And she takes a swig of that poison, but she spits it out. So they're, are they party animals? No, but at least they tried.
Yeah, y'all ain't about that life. And eventually they go back into the hall, and they go into the elevator talking about, man, we got to catch Fresh Prince. We need to see Fresh Prince. And they get on the elevator. As soon as the elevator closes, it's none other than Will Smith, the Fresh Prince himself, walking into the scene. And, to a loud clap, as you should. It's
him. This is like a unicorn walking in the scene that nobody expected. I like I said, they just kind of mention him. So I was like, is this going to be like a Maris on Frasier where you just think he's in this show and he never shows up, or he shows up real quick at the end? But he's at the elevator. He's in San Fran. The Fresh Prince is in town, but it's like ships in the night, Steve. They're crossing paths, but they're not quite meeting each other. So Six and Blossom leave their room, go downstairs. They miss Will Smith. They also miss the shit ton of room service that they've just ordered. They never got all that shit, so that's still on the way. But they might miss that. I think at least $10,000 to $15,000 worth of dinners and desserts that they've ordered. And then we cut later on. We flash forward. And now Six is fucking dropping water balloons out of a pot. Like, you're gonna get kicked out of the fucking room, girl. What are you doing?
They're like still kids, but they want to be grown, because shortly after she's throwing water balloons out the window, Blossom is jumping on the bed asking Six if she's taken the pill already. The pill? Wait, what pill? Oh, Z pill? Oh, man, what? You saying that while jumping on the bed? Y'all talking about the sex?
Yeah, this is where it starts veering into a weird. It's kind of confusing. So they're kids. They're jumping on beds, but now they're talking about the pill, getting breast implants to conform to society norms of what a woman's body needs to look like, and how they don't want to do that. I was like, what happened? Did I miss part of this episode?
Just
did the Fresh Prince like sexually harass them, and now they're like, wait, like what's going on in my life?
Just 5 minutes ago, this girl was throwing water balloons out the window. Now y'all talking about Z-sex?
I mean, it's getting real adult, Steve, and as it should. This is a band getaway trip, so they should be partying, but no, they're talking about societal norms and whatnot. So at least they're keeping it civil, I guess.
And we cut back to the Russo household, and Anthony is seen putting out a cigarette before he goes into the house. And he walks by his dad sitting on the couch, and he's acting funny style. He's trying to make it to the kitchen, and he stopped by his dad, and he's kind of asking him in a way like, man, what the fuck is going on? Now clearly, I don't know, Mr. Russo has a poor sense of smell, because anyone who just smoked a cigarette and they walk by you, you're going to smell that shit from 10 feet away, especially if it's like, if you're in an unscented environment, or, just a basic, a stable living room, you're used to that smell. And then someone comes in with a fresh, just smoked cigarette.
I just remember trying to hide, because I would be like Tony. I mean, I wasn't a fucking drug addict, but I would have to walk into my house and like hide cigarette smell when I was in high school, or even like when I was in college. I didn't want my parents to know I smoked. I don't know why, but the audacity cigarette smokers have that are trying to hide it, to think that you can mask, even if you put cologne on, if you do anything, put a mint in, put cologne on, you're still going to smell like the fucking cigarette. So he's not doing a great job hiding. He's acting shady. And his dad's like, come on, dude, what the fuck's up, man? Are you booting up? Are we back here again? And Tony's like, I'm hiding something, Dad. I'm hiding the cigarettes, which it's not what everybody, like the dad's like, oh, thank God you're only addicted to smokes, which I would be too if the kid was booting up. I don't like, what was Tony's thing back in the day? Was it drugs? Was it alcohol? I don't remember.
They don't really touch it. I think it was a little bit of both, man. He was out here. He was
the party animal. It was like, take whatever I can get type guy. Okay. So like, but Tony's like, man, I know it's not a big deal, but all this hiding and like trying to hide shit from you and lying to you makes me feel like the same person I was when I was an addict and I was trying to hide that, like the drugs and stuff from you. So I appreciate you're not mad at me, but I'm mad at myself. Tony's very mature. Yeah. He's got a bad name, I guess, in the family, but the guy seems to be the most well put together person in the house, honestly, the most honest person, at least.
Yeah. But I don't like the fact that the dad was more pleased with him smoking cigarettes than pot. It's like, damn it, 1991.
I didn't even clock that they talked about pot in that, because there's a modern day change that they're definitely going to have. But yeah, that's kind of whack. And the dad's a fucking musician. You're telling me you ain't fucking smoking some fucking jazz cigarettes, in the back, bud?
Well, at Anthony, he admitted that he was smoking. And then Pops was like, well, what this would lead to, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, cigarettes. So it's like, yeah, like you thought he was smoking weed. That's
what I'm saying. Mr. Russo is a pianist. He's a musician. So you like, of all the people in that house, he's the one where I would assume is smoking pot. Well, him and Joey. Joey seems like a guy that's on like every edible. He's acting that high all the time. So
whoa. Wow.
He's high on coochie juice.
Whoa, 7 condoms a day, all right.
Now, we cut back to Six and Blossom in the hotel, Holiday Inn, and we find out that they lose the band competition. Half the band was hungover. Someone put corn nuts in her trumpet, and Six put the glockenspiel through the bass drum. Hey.
Oh, hey now. But what do they expect? Everybody, I guess, was out there just fucking killing mini bars and shit. Their chaperone they see naked in a fountain outside. She's all fucked up. So as a band nerd, I'm jealous these guys got to have this kind of fun, because the most Perrysburg got to do was do a lock-in at the high school, which, I'm sure there was some finger fucking going on and shit, but Matt wasn't doing any of that. We were just band nerds hanging out playing Goldeneye and shit. So I'm jealous.
The senior chaperone. Yeah.
Go for it, Steve.
I mean, they were all losers, man. Well, don't be jealous. I would rather play N64 and actually win the competition.
Though? If you could hang out with Six, be getting all faded in the room, though, Steve. I mean, that's fuck a Goldeneye. I could get on Goldeneye whenever. If I could have had that shot and shoot that shot, Steve, I would have been all about that. And I'm telling you, the Perrysburg kids, like the people I hung out with, there was a couple where I was like, we could probably party together. Michelle, you know who you are. We could have partied. we were the party kid, not the party kids, but like there was a couple like nerdy nerds. There was a guy who was like a Mormon and stuff, but then there was like the kids who probably would have smoked pot if I was honest and told people in school I was doing that. I was afraid to tell people in school anything. Like you didn't know I was smoking pot in high school. I don't think
I didn't. No, I think it wasn't until the end, man.
I didn't tell people any of that shit. So like these, like Blossom and Six, this is a cool fucking squad that they got, and little jealous, but they lose the band competition. They're in the hotel, and what we've been talking about all this room service, it's all coming to a head now because now they got a fucking Rolodex of a bill, and they're like, what? I thought this was all free.
They ran that tab up.
And Six is like, well, should I take back the robe? Because the robe, and Blossom's like, the fucking robe's $100. Go take that back up to the room. So Six goes up to the room. Blossom sees Will Smith on the actual elevator, right?
Yeah.
And they actually vibe. She says, oh shit, what's up? And Will gives her that hat that he's got on his head behind you. And she gets off. And then we see her and Six in the lobby doing what we said, freaking out over the bill. And she's trying to tell Six like that she met Will Smith and nobody believes her. She's like, oh, okay, you met Will Smith. Okay, got it. She's like, look at this hat. Where do you think I got this fucking cool Blossom hat from? And she's like, oh, whatever, bitch. And then Will Smith comes and like crosses past and like she sees that she actually met Will Smith at the end, basically. And I know I fucked the timeline of this up, but
well, I mean, I looked at the reaction that Blossom and Six had when they saw him, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Matt. My reaction would probably be the same. Ah! You know who you are? Oh,
yeah, that's a tough one. It's like there's some people you could meet, Steve, like a Jay Farrow, and you could contain that a little bit. But it's like if you meet Will Smith, I just wouldn't have the balls to even go up because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, you're that guy. You remember that thing you did? Remember that thing you did? I loved it. You know, I can't be that guy anymore, but I would freak the fuck out.
And I must say that that hat on Fresh Prince, it looked cool. On Blossom, it looked like Paddington the Bear.
Hated it.
Yeah, that's one of those things. I got a bucket hat one time. Just because I thought I would look cool in it. And I don't know if there's a white guy on earth that can pull off or a white person on earth that can pull off that look. I can't, but it's just not, I don't know. You tell me, Steve. I'm going to get a bucket hat and I'm going to show you what I look like. It's not good. I look like I'm going to go fishing someplace.
Jesus. And we do go back to the Russo house one more time, and Joey and Grandpa come back smiling, and instantly Mr. Russo's like, oh, you got the fucking tattoo, didn't you? You son of a bitch. But he didn't. He decided that he didn't need a tattoo. But he did get his ear pierced like his daddy, and they have do a warm embrace, and then Grandpa is like, oh, let me get the fuck out of here. You're probably gonna drink international coffees and talk about your feelings and all that kind of fuck shit. Yeah,
he's Grandpa's gonna get canceled.
Yeah,
my son's a freaking fruitcake.
Fucking wearing earrings. You probably wanted to go to San Francisco too, huh? You little punk.
They cut that. That was a cut joke, Steve. That was one that went over the line that got cut out of this episode. But shout out to Fresh Prince, and this is like a mega episode for us to watch. We get 90s crossover of two mega stars of the 90s. And now I'm thinking, is this where Blossom got her signature hat from? Because it's almost like the hat she wears in the intro, almost.
Oh, yeah, she got the leftovers. I mean, they probably shared the dressing rooms. Couldn't have been too far. There was NBC studios, and the shows were back to back in the 90s and on Monday nights. So
that might be it, Steve. We just figured out that misconnection. But shout out to Blossom for just continuing to surprise. I didn't remember I liking the show that much, but I think we've watched 2 episodes now. Both have been killers.
No,
shout out to Tony. I'm sorry. One other thing I just want to say, Tony, keep living your life, bro. You're a good guy. Yeah. I like Tony. He's an honest guy.
Yeah, man. He's no Joey, but they both serve a purpose.
Like Joey becomes what Tony was at some point, I think. You know what I mean? At some point, Tony's trying to get Joey out of his bottom. He's like, come on, Joey, you can't keep doing this to yourself. All the pussy, all the pills, you got to stop.
Now, you know who probably wasn't watching this episode of Blossom, Matt?
I don't know, Steve. Who?
Probably law professor Anita Hill, because she accused Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas of making sexually inappropriate comments to her.
I even remember, wasn't there something regarding a pubic hair or something on a Coke can?
Pubic hairs on the Coke can. That is correct indeed, good sir.
See, that's what history is now, Steve. If we are history teachers, these are the facts. We'd be like, in this day, Anita Hill found some pubic hairs on her Coke.
Now, in 1991, President George H.W. Bush nominated Clarence Thomas, a Federal Circuit judge, to succeed retiring Associate Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, because that's how you did it back then. You replace a black with another black. And Senate hearings on his confirmation were initially completed, with Thomas's good character being presented as a primary qualification for the high court, because he had only been a judge for slightly more than 1 year. There had been little organized opposition to Thomas's nomination, and his confirmation seemed assured until a report of a private interview of Hill by the FBI was leaked to the press. The hearings were reopened and Hill was called to the public to testify. And she said in televised hearings that Thomas had sexually harassed her while he was her supervisor at the Department of Education and at EEOC. When questioned on why she followed Thomas to the second job after he had already allegedly harassed her, she said working in a reputable position within the civil rights field had been her ambition. The position was appealing enough to inhibit her from going back into private practice with her previous firm. She said that she only realized later in her life that the choice had represented poor judgment on her part, and that at the time it appeared that the sexual overtures had ended.
I just remember this being famous, and the pubic hair thing on the Coke can, which I don't remember the specifics of that. She was being sexually harassed. How did the pubic hairs on the Coke can thing come up? Thomas just sprinkling pubes on her drink, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, that's the story that you know, she presented, man. And they actually took a polygraph, and, you know, for whatever reason, the polygraphs are inadmissible when it comes to court hearings. But she, like, the results in the polygraph, it matched her testimony.
Yeah, I mean, the polygraph thing, that is weird, but it is also, people can game those things too, you know, so it's not always accurate. But this seems, one, for somebody to get out, like, publicly, this was a huge thing. I mean, they were making fun of this on SNL. This was on news. And this is back when the internet didn't exist. So everybody was watching the same shit and knowing about this. So for her to go out and say these things had to be hugely embarrassing for her. But it's very fucking weird. Like, I don't remember all the details, but the guy he was on the Supreme Court. He got through this.
And he's still here. He's still
a respected guy. I mean, now you never, like, I always heard about him, like, you know.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah, probably. But I'm just saying, like, I would hear current news, you know, recently about Clarence Thomas, and this would always pop up in the back of my head. Like, is that the same guy with the pubic hairs on the Coke can? So that clearly made an impact. I don't know the specifics, but what a wild fucking story.
Yeah, man.
That's not the way you want to become a Supreme Court judge, though. Like, limp in after getting through some shit where everyone's like, this guy was sprinkling pubes on a Coke can.
Well, they said that he has the narrowest vote in Supreme Court history. He did not take the polygraph test, and he made a vehement and complete denial, saying that he was being subjected to a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks by white liberals who were seeking to block a black conservative from taking a seat on the Supreme Court. And after an extensive debate, the United States Senate confirmed Thomas to the Supreme Court by a vote of 52-48, the narrowest margin actually since the 19th century. So it's not the narrowest of all time, but it's the narrowest in a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember the SNL skit that you're mentioning. I remember that more than the actual case itself, man. And Tim Meadows played Clarence Thomas. Ellen Cleghorn played Anita Hill. Kevin Nealon plays Joe Biden. Phil Hartman, R.I.P., played Ted Kennedy. R.I.P. to Chris Farley, who played Hal Heflin. That shit was fucking hilarious. Dana Carvey plays Strom Thurmond, and Al Franken plays Paul Simon. And the fact that Al Franken is a part of this skit, that didn't age well because he went into politics and had some sexual harassment claims himself. Strom Thurmond, that's a very good idea there, Senator Heflin. And then Chris Farley, he's like, oh, that's a very good porno movie. I prefer the soft cold porn.
Now you're like describing it. I definitely remember this skit.
Yeah.
And Phil Hartman he was like the go-to Kennedy also. Putting a pubic hair on a Coke can.
Fucking dude. I think you're tapping into your potential a lot throughout this show, man. Did you know you had that Kennedy in you?
I just used to do it all the time because it was on The Simpsons. The mayor would always, I am the hottest piece of ass in this here United States of America.
Yes.
But this is a wild fucking story. I don't know how he got through into the Supreme Court off the tail of this. And I'm wondering where Anita Hill is now. Because how did this affect her after all this? Because I would assume she kind of got the Monica Lewinsky treatment where she was kind of banished to some kind of purgatory, for bringing light to this shit.
Well, Anita Hill, she's still with us. Thank God. She's 65, and she is a university professor of social policy and law and women's studies at Brandeis University. And she's a faculty member of the university's Heller School for Social Policy and Management.
Shout out to Anita Hill.
Yeah, man.
Electricity? Careful there. Ha! Or it'll toast your eyeballs.
Now, that following year, in 1992, Doogie Howser is airing the episode Doogie Got a Gun. And after being held at gunpoint at his own doorstep, Doogie considers buying a gun, and he is haunted by memories of shooting victims that he has treated in the past.
Yeah, this was a very special episode, Steve, in a lot of ways. It tackles a tough issue about gun violence, but it's also just a fucking hilarious episode to watch, the tone of it. Because like you see here, it's like Dirty Harry with this little fucking nerdo. So
yeah, man.
This one starts, another great theme song, boring, but for some reason, it just sets off like memories of like when it would come on in syndication and shit. And we're in Doogie's house. He's having a sleepover with his buddy Vin, which is weird because he's a surgeon, but he's still having sleepovers because he's a kid.
He's still a kid.
And they're watching scary movies. Oh, no. Doogie's opened people up, Steve. He's opened up people with heart attacks, but King Kong in 3D, he's not affected, but Vinny is. That's like the discrepancy in kids here. Doogie's like an adult. Vinny's like a weird Guido child that's hanging out. But go ahead. Sorry.
He's above the fray. I mean, he's too mature to get lured into some simple entertainment. They're actually watching the movie Gorilla at Large, which is the same name as Paula Dean's biopic. And they're watching Gorilla at Large wearing the 3D glasses, and all of a sudden there's a ring at the door.
Yeah, which is strange. Everybody's like, nobody likes a ring at the door at night. So Vinny's like, shook from watching this movie. He's like, don't answer it. It could be a killer. And Doogie's still playing like, you're such a child. Like, there's no way. This doesn't happen, Vincent. Like, watch, I'll prove it to you. So, they go up to the door and Doogie puts on his best, like, white housewife. Like, who is it? There's no answer. And Vinny's like, dude, don't fucking answer the fucking door, dude. We're going to get killed. And Doogie's like, whatever, dude. He answers the door. And instead of just some nice person in the neighborhood, he's face to face with the barrel of a gun, Steve. He should have listened to Vinny.
Man, you got all them school smarts in the books and things, but you got no street smarts. I'm surprised this didn't happen earlier because he was such a phenomenon and it was known around the town that, oh my God, there's this wonder kid who's a teenager doctor. And, obviously there's money in that. There's like a lot of devious people would be like, oh, where does he live? He's got to be loaded. He doesn't have bills.
Do you think he gets paid the same as an actual doctor at this hospital, Steve?
He's one of the top-notch guys. Yeah, man, he knows his work. He's smart on the book end of the game. He's got his numbers together. He knows his value. But, when it comes to this shit in everyday life, man, he still got to learn. Don't open the door for strangers. They taught us that at Dare.
Yeah, I mean, this is day one shit. This is kindergarten shit. You don't answer the door at night if you're by yourself. I mean, he might be a surgeon, but he's still like a 12, 14-year-old kid. I don't know what his age is at this point. Well, it's got to be, he's like 16, right?
Something like that. 16, 17. Yeah. He's still a minor. I
left out a little bit. So Doogie goes, who is it? And then the voice on the other end is, it's Gil Johnson. I'd be like, Gil Johnson, who the fuck? We might be in trouble now because that's the fakest name I've ever heard. And Gil Johnson needs help to call a tow truck. That's what it is. He's like, I need some help to call a tow truck, guys. Open the door. Doogie answers the door. Boom. Gun in the face, Steve. And me, I would have melted. Luckily, we cut and they're alive. They didn't get shot to death by Gil Johnson. Doogie and Vinny are being interviewed by the police, and they've just been robbed.
They're making a police report, and the officer is none other than Ron Canada. Not only does he have a country for a last name, but he also was the bad guy in Adventures in Babysitting, a cop on 227, a cop on Home Alone 2, a doctor on Amen, an agent on Cheers, a judge on Grace Under Fire, a judge on Frasier, and a coach on Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
God damn.
Ron Canada.
He's a very authoritative guy, Steve. That's why he got typecast. And even he's like, you open the fucking door? What are you guys fucking crazy? I'm a cop. I wouldn't have opened the door.
It's the first thing he says.
Yeah.
You open the door?
And there's a hottie like Charlie's Angel cop in the mix too. And she actually goes out and she finds Vinny's wallet in the lawn that the guy had just like dumped after he took whatever cash was in there. But she's like, there's no cash in here, but there's like a decade-old condom that's been in the wallet so long it's left like a fucking ring in the wallet.
Guilty.
And Vinny's like, hey, come on, stop busting my balls, Charlie's Angel. What the fuck?
Yeah. Want to go back in the bushes and I can use it on you, eh? Give you one of those rod smacks, huh?
And Doogie's like doing the doctor thing where he's like giving like medical level details to the officer who's interviewing him. He's like, the man had an asphyxial ventricle. He has like a medical diagnosis for how the guy was breathing heavy. What he looked like. He was 6'3" and he had a blonde hair and blah, 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 blah. And the cop's like, all right, you motherfuckers are stupid as fuck. They leave and then we cut to Doogie the next day and he's getting it from all ends. Everybody that hears his story is like, dude, you've opened the fucking door, dude. What are you doing? He's even the orderly at work says it. There's some nurses, I think, that say it too. And
Dr. Canfield even, he was sick of getting mugged because, I mean, he's a doctor. He's a prominent guy. And look at him. He's Dr. Canfield. He looks like a Dr. Canfield. Oh, yeah, we're going to follow this motherfucker to the ATM. He was getting mugged at the ATM at the mall, in his house. And he was just like, well, shit, I'm sick of being a punk ass bitch. So I got myself a pistol. He even hated to admit it. That's how much of a bitch he is. Well, I hate to admit this after getting punked around for so much. I got a gun myself. Like, why do you hate to admit it? You should be like, man, fuck that shit. I got me a gat too.
Yeah, I got a strap because I was getting like, how many times you get mugged though? God damn. Yeah. What kind of fucking city is it? But he's like, look, I got mugged and I had to get a strap So Doogie, do what you gotta fucking do, bruh. Get your 16-year-old fucking self a gun. Which, can he even legally get a fucking gun?
No, he's got to have his Coach K dad to sign off on it.
Yeah. So Dr. Canfield's like, well, the only way I can feel safe is if I got a 45 under my pillow. So do with that what you will, Doogie. And that starts turning some wheels in Doogie's head. And turns out like when we go back to the house, Doogie's parents are now like in the midst of getting security systems. The guys, all the bells and whistles. And the security guy is even talking about getting a gun. Everybody's a gun nut in this fucking town, dude.
Like, I could sell you all this shit, but it's like, then what? Okay, the bells went off, but like, let's say that he shoots you before the cops get there.
The cops like, gonna take 10 minutes, sir. So I suggest you get this safety plan in the form of a 357. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, save your household, Coach K dad and kitchen curtain mom.
So he gives him like a card to like a gun store or something. It's like some gun place. And he's like, if you need this here. And the dad's like, I don't need this. We don't need a gun. He takes the card to be polite and puts it down and just like takes the guy away. But Doogie's like, I'm going to take that card just in case. I might need to get me a gat real quick. So he takes the card and they actually, after that, they have to sort of go through an inventory with the parents of what was stolen. So Doogie's dad's like, well, I had this and I had like a movie set and I had this. And turns out a lot of the stuff that they're missing was actually just stolen by Vinny. Because this motherfucker's in there borrowing a lot of shit, which I wouldn't appreciate. I would have like, Vinny, get the fuck out of my house.
Hey, I had to do a couple favors. I went to the pawn shop a couple times and Big Sal, he kept bugging me.
Good news, bad news. Good news, half of this shit's in my house. Bad news, I might have broke some of the shit or busted a nut on some of the VHSs. My apologies. Let me go get it, Mr. Howser. I'll be right back. Vinny, I don't know. At some point, I wonder if this friendship, fractures at some point, because Vinny, I think, becomes like the guy in The Departed that Leo gets like the main, like the shitty cousin guy. I think at some point Vinny becomes like the shitty wannabe mobster of this town. He's like doing coke deals and getting beat up a lot. Yeah.
And we cut to Doogie now at the gun range and we see a familiar face. It's Mr. Art LaFleur.
Babe Ruth himself.
The Babe.
Steve, do you know why legends never die? Because they are strapped.
Yeah, man. And you don't buy a gun because you're mad. You buy a gun because you're smart. You don't buy a gun to get into a gunfight. You buy it to be ready.
And he's ready. I mean, he's going through it all. He's giving Doogie the straight business on how to use a gun. He puts it in front of him. And right before Doogie does anything, he has this daydream about where it's like Doogie Howser, Dirty Harry style.
Yeah, Dirty Harry Fonzarelli, even equipped with the leather jacket.
Yeah. So
the motherfucker.
I think we fucked up because does he go to the gun range before he gets his car stolen? Because that's the other thing, Steve. Doogie still is he gets fucking robbed again because he's an idiot. The guy who fucking stole all of his other shit calls Doogie, but poses as like an old woman who found his wallet and says, I want to give it back to you. You seem like such a sweet boy. And when Doogie says, hey, I'll come get it, she's like, no, I don't trust people. So I need to meet you in a safe spot. So they arrange for a meeting and they go, and the waitress of the meat place is like, you know what you're saying you're doing actually happened to a friend of mine. And when they tried to meet with somebody, they got robbed again. That's weird. And all of a sudden Doogie's fucking car just takes off. So he gets robbed. So there goes this like cherry ass classic car that him and his dad redid. And now it's like, at this point, Doogie just wants to shoot a motherfucker. You know, he's like, now I do need a gun because I'm going to kill somebody. So he goes to the gun range. It's owned by Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth is like, here's how you do it. You aim, you do all this. And while he gets the target set up and Doogie starts shooting, and he's actually pretty good, but every time he pulls the trigger, he has like a flash to this alternate reality or like gunshot victims that he's treated. And clearly he's not going to be able to pull the trigger and like actually shoot somebody. He does well. And then he puts the gun down. He's like, I can't do this. I can't shoot anybody. I gotta go.
Give me the fucking gun, Trey.
And you know, he tries, like, salute to him for actually going to the gun range, but the gun thing, it's not his. And he shoots a couple times, and then he admits he can't do the gun thing, so he goes back to work. We cut back to work. Doogie's getting off a shift. And we didn't really cover this, but all this stuff is happening, and he's very much shook by the initial robbery. He's, you know, him and Vinny are both very scared. So he's having like these weird PTSD flashbacks and stuff. And he's getting off work, and he goes to the elevator. And when the elevator doors open, he sees this guy, and he's like, holy fuck, because he thinks he's about to get shot again, but it's a PTSD thing. And then this weird moment happens where, you know, he's not in danger, but this guy in the elevator like starts like motioning to him, and he shoves a cigar in his mouth because this guy's a new dad.
Right. But the guy looked sickly as fuck. He looked like COVID before COVID, gangrene in his pupils. Like, don't put anything in my mouth. Don't touch me. Have you been quarantined, motherfucker? Like,
he doesn't look like a man. Like, I wouldn't just jam a cigar into a kid's mouth. Like,
he looked like the Ray Liotta scene when he's busting his fucking face laughing on Goodfellas. Yeah. If you freeze framed it. And that's how he looked. He's like stung by bees and sweating maniacally. So it's very weird, which is, you know, there's a reason why Doogie was a little hesitant, but then he realizes like, holy fuck. Like, if I had a gun, I would have just shot that guy. Cause it's like, I'm having like, this has caused like some issues with me. I got to fucking, you know, figure this out. So that actually makes him go to a PTSD like victims class where it's almost, you know, like a victim sharing their stories. And I think we're further on down, and he's sort of just like, this is like later on in the future. Like, he's sort of over it now, but we're seeing him like heal from this moment. He's in this group, and this PTSD group is helping him and Vinny get over this terrible ordeal that they went through. Yeah. And we end the episode with his classic typewriter or computer journal. And it says, life teaches you that you have to be ready for anything. But being ready for anything isn't more than being ready for the worst. It's also being ready for the best.
I wanted it to go, Dear Diary. Rat-tat-tat-tat.
The end.
But his dad also, before he does the Dear Diary thing, his dad comes into his room as he's about to start it. And he's like, hey, they actually found the car. It got stripped. But this is just an opportunity for us to build it again, son. So let's do it. Let's get on the road to recovery. So did I expect a gun episode of Doogie Howser MD? I don't know why I didn't, but to see Doogie Howser looking like Dirty Harry, I mean, again, we were just blessed with some weird fucking episodes this week, Steve.
Yes, we were, man. And hopefully we can do Doogie Howser MD episodes later in life. Fucking Hulu. Don't fucking pull out your tit and then pull it back and say, what are you staring at? That's what you fucking did.
We already have to fucking yell at Paramount Plus constantly for their fuck up. So Hulu, get your shit together. You're not going to take that shit off. Don't do it.
You know who probably didn't watch this episode of Doogie Howser MD, young Matthew?
No, Steve, who?
Probably Mookie Betts, American baseball player who is a 5-time All-Star, a 2-time World Series champion, AL MVP, MLB first team, second team, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, all that hot shit.
He sounds like a jazz musician. Mookie Betts.
Born Marcus Betts. I'm assuming that was his endearing term that his mother gave him, or the people around the way. And he now plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's time for Dodgers baseball.
I mean, maybe I don't pay attention to baseball, Steve, but shout out Mookie Betts. Maybe I've crossed paths with the man.
Yeah. We were 8 years old when that man was born, and now like that's I think about that a lot, man. We were 8 when motherfucker was born, and like he's like a World Series champion in a professional baseball league. And
well, that's why I prefer why we talked about like football being less enjoyable. And I think part of that is me realizing that the people that I'm yelling at or rooting for are way younger than me, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
In a little way. But I wasn't blessed with the athleticism of a Mookie Betts. I was in the marching band like Blossom. So, shout out. But I don't know, man. I don't even remember what my point was, but hey.
It's life, man. And it's not fair sometimes.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm old. That's why I hate this shit. So not only am I forgetting what I'm talking about mid-sentence, but watching athletes like the Steelers suck like they did last week, and me yelling at these people who were in elementary school when I was in college just makes me feel a little bit shitty about everything, So that was my point. I hate being old, basically. So there's my decrepit old man statement of the day, Steve.
On October 7th, 1994, Saved by the Bell was airing Wedding in Las Vegas. You get to see the gang together one last time before they do this horrible reboot 20 years later, 20 plus. Yeah. They go to jail, the guys do, and eventually they get out, but the sheriff basically siphons about over $1,000 from the guys. AC Slater, being the international player that he is, he's just running into honeys throughout this whole ordeal. Man, there's a honey at the coffee shop. I'm gonna go talk to her. There's a honey at the altar. I'm gonna go talk to her. There's a honey in prison. Whoa, that's not a honey, but
I don't remember that fucking episode, but I remember wishing I was married to Kelly Kapowski.
Man, look at her. But this was actually a 90-minute film aired on NBC because it's Saved by the Bell. It's that special to the point where they have to have their own like made-for-TV movie. And Gilbert Gottfried is actually in this too, man. He plays.
Do you take Kelly to be a lawfully wedded wife?
But yeah,
I'm assuming he wasn't the Reverend. It doesn't look like it, but
I can't remember what he played. I believe it's available on Hulu, at least for now. But that or on Peacock. I'm pretty sure it's on Peacock. But that following year, Saturday Night Live is airing the episode with musical guest Lisa Loeb in 9 Stories and your host Chevy Chase. Fucking punk ass Chevy Chase,
dude. What a fucking fall from grace, dude. I used to love Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Fletch. There's another movie he did with there's a guy, I think his name's Gregory Hines. It was like a black actor in the 80s. I forget his name. He was like one of the bigger actors, but it was called like Weapon of the Century or something, where like Chevy Chase is like a gun runner of some kind, but it's like a comedy and there's a lot of funny shit in it. I remember being on Comedy Central a lot. But again, Chevy Chase, I used to love him. You can't even really do that anymore. The guy's a cunt.
Man, just ask the cast of what's that, Community.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. What's weird about that show is it seems like everybody really was like together except for Chevy Chase. Like you hear everybody else on the cast and it's like, what was this guy doing all the time?
Look at the distance that David Koechner has between, like, usually people are huddled around the host, and the closing credits, that's usually kind of a tell-all. Usually, when it's like this, you see certain motherfuckers kind of like, yeah, you know what, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he did some good shit. This is what sucks about, again, what gets about getting old is these people that you used to love. It's like you get now, and you know all this shit about him. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I don't like you anymore. Let's burn all that.
Good. Besides that piece of shit hosting, some good things about this episode. Sherry O'Terry is in this skit where she plays a young boy and she's heartbroken to part with his beloved face-sucking eels. They're lampreys, and damn.
I don't remember that.
Oh my God.
Weird. Oh my God.
And it's Sherry O'Terry playing a little boy. So that already is hilarious. And
she looks like Chucky.
Exactly. And she's just got these face-sucking eels attached to her. And like, that's her thing.
So fucking weird. This is like some Conan O'Brien shit, dude. Like, this is some weird level writing right here. This is why I love this cast, because this is when they would do weird fucking shit like this. Even those, like, remember that skit Will Ferrell did with Rachel Dratch where the Wellesley Arms lava, those it was like, how would you ever conceive of that? You know, like, it seems like such a weird concept, but I mean, I got to go back and watch it now just for that screenshot.
October 7th, 95, man. This is season 21. And they also did an NFL skit that was fucking hilarious. David Koechner plays Mike Ditka, as you could see. And yeah, man, I didn't realize, it took me a while to realize like which one. It doesn't look like any of them, but like they did some really heavy makeup on that.
Yeah, that's like Dick Tracy, Mike Ditka, you know, he looks very weird, but that's weird that's David Koechner.
Koechner, yeah. And Tim Meadows does OJ doing some sideline reporting, and hilarity would ensue.
Isn't this the one where he's like, he does the screen with the plays, and he's like, I killed her or whatever?
I did it, yeah. And Will Ferrell plays Merv Levy, the coach of the Bills at the time.
Yeah, I do remember that. Hell yeah.
But yeah, man. On that same day in 1995, the Mariners rally from an epic 5-zip deficit to force Game 5 of the division series versus the Yankees. And this has been retold in different ways. Several videos on YouTube about this comeback. They would beat the Yankees. However, they would lose to my tribe, and my tribe would end up losing to the Braves in that year's World Series.
Dude, the Braves were just crushing yours and my baseball dreams for a clean decade. Barry Bonds didn't get anything with the Pittsburgh Pirates specifically because of the Braves.
Yeah, man. And Jim Leland would get success later in Florida. Another team that beat my tribe. God damn it. Now, in 1996, on October 7th, News Corporation gets into cable news fray with the debut of Fox News Channel, and hilarity and laughter and fucking anger.
Fall of society.
The fall of society would ensue. Hannity and Combs, Fox News Now, The O'Reilly Factor, and Your World with Neil Cavuto would all debut on this day.
I mean, what can we say that hasn't already been said about that giant hunk of shit of a TV channel?
Roger Ailes or some shit like that, and good old Rupert from England. Fucking
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch sounds like an English gangster. That doesn't sound like somebody that should own anything related to news at all. So fuck Fox News. I wonder if it is funny to, like, I remember taking mushrooms and watching it and just like having a mind, like just enjoying that. That's about the only enjoyment I ever got out of Fox News.
I wonder if Mr. Burns was based off of Rupert Murdoch. Look at that motherfucker.
For sure.
He looks like a thumb with glasses.
He does this a lot.
Yeah. But on that same day in 96, Arthur debuts on PBS, and it would spawn so many memes later in life.
I never watched this show. My wife watched this show and like questions why I didn't, but this didn't move the needle for me at all.
Age differential.
Yeah, he just looks like what is he? Is he
He's an aardvark.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. I do remember watching or reading the books, because Arthur was around for decades way before the show, and I remember it being like a series. And it's kind of like the Little Creatures, I think, or the Little Monster series. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it would be Arthur in school, Arthur in church, Arthur in hell.
This was more like, remember Babar?
Babar, another one. Yeah,
that to me was my Arthur. That was like the learning show that wasn't Sesame Street I watched. So I don't know. Shout out to Arthur. Yeah, I didn't even know you were an aardvark. I thought he was a mouse with glasses this whole time. So you just educated me. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And on that same day, Hey Arnold debuts on Nickelodeon, and I watched some of this. We were freshmen in high school at this point, or on our way to be freshmen. Actually, we were in 8th grade. This is 96. So yeah, man, I think I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Me too. I remember watching this, and it was one of those shows where if it was on, like I wouldn't like turn it off sometimes. And I will say, I think they released a movie of this recently that I watched, and it actually is pretty good, like, you know, for a kid's show. So, but I'm like you, this is when I was really like taking my foot off the gas of cartoons a lot. And I was still watching Nickelodeon. Like, I think this was like close to Snickish time, but you know, I'm like you, other than remembering his head was shaped weird and stuff. Matt was too old for this. I was trying to see titties now.
In 97, on October 7th, Janet Jackson releases the album The Velvet Rope. It's 75 minutes and 23 seconds. Upon experiencing an emotional breakdown, Jackson began facing a long-term case of depression. She in turn developed her new record as a concept album using introspection as its theme. Its title is a metaphor for emotional boundaries, as well as an allusion to an individual's need to feel special. Its lyrics address subject matter such as depression, self-worth, social networking, and domestic violence. It also encompasses themes of sexuality, including BDSM, sexual orientation, and same-sex relationships. Due to its sexually explicit content, the album reinforced Jackson's public image as a sex symbol and one of the most erotic vocalists of the 90s. Its incorporation of social issues regarding sexual orientation and combating homophobia also established her reputation as a gay icon and received the GLAAD Media Award for Outstanding Music.
Well, congratulations on the most detailed explanation of an album of all time, Steve. That was incredible.
Yeah, man,
that's what I sort of apply to Janet Jackson from our perspective. Like, to me, that's what she always was like this sex symbol, pop artist. I like a lot of Janet Jackson shit.
Yeah. I
can't name like specific songs necessarily, but she always had bangers. She was always hot as fuck. The poster with the hands on the tits.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wanted to be those hands. And she kept doing it. I mean, she's sort of reached diva level now where, you know, you don't see her a lot, but like even like the Super Bowl thing when we were in college and Justin Timberlake taking the tit out. I mean, she was just one of the baddest bitches of all time.
One of the baddies.
The video with Busta Rhymes, that song with like the liquid, like the CG video and shit.
Yeah.
Gonna make them find it. That song, the video for that was bustable almost.
And this was a certified triple platinum album. An estimated 8 million copies sold worldwide. Of the 6 singles released from the project, Got Till It's Gone won the 1998 Grammy Award for Best Music Video. And Together Again became an international #1 hit. But the one that I remember was, I get so lonely, can't let just anybody. I want no one but you. Okay.
Steve, there's probably some wet panties on the listening to this right now. Listen to you belt out this Janet Jackson.
Gonna break it down. But shout out to Miss
who's
Janet.
Hotter than Janet Jackson, Steve? Mm-hmm. And she avoided the crazy, and I know she is probably, you know, there's issues, but like as far as the Jackson family crazy, I feel like maybe she avoided it for the most part.
Yeah. And she doesn't get enough credit as far as being another child actor who kind of like made it out and like not been strung out. We never mentioned her. So yeah, man, shout out to her. But in 1998, Matthew Shepard, a gay student at the University of Wyoming, is found tied to a fence after being savagely beaten by two young adults in Laramie, Wyoming. He would die 5 years later.
Did you say 5 years?
Or 5 days later. Getting ahead of myself. But I remember
this was a wild story. This was fucking tragic.
Yeah, man.
And this was big. And it's wild that like this sounds like a crime that is like civil rights era, like, old like 60s type shit. This happened in the 90s. They just fucking did this shit, which is just wild. But this started a lot of change. But this was huge news. Like this was a big fucking deal. And the guys got caught, right? Did they catch the people?
Oh, yeah. They were arrested and initially charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, and aggravated robbery. And they were eligible for the death penalty. They avoided it because he agreed to testify against one agreed to testify against the other. So they were sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms.
Fuck them. They're gonna hate. They gay bashed, and hopefully they're getting bashed by some dick in jail for the rest of their lives. So ultimate irony there. They're probably taking some heavy dick shots. So, man,
poetic justice, bringing it back to Miss Jackson.
Karma's a bitch.
Now, any call outs, honorable mentions, takeaways, Matthew?
I do have a call out, Steve. I'm calling out an episode of Frasier we didn't talk about today. We've talked Frasier pretty recently, but this episode came out on October 7th, 1993. It's called I Hate Frasier Crane, and I'm calling it out just because it's a great episode of the show. It's still in the first season. This one specifically, the story is basically, he's on the radio. He reads like a column somebody wrote that's a review of his radio show by this guy named Derek Mann. And the guy's just flaming him, saying he's a hot mess. He sucks. The show sucks. So Frasier Crane starts berating him. And then Derek Mann calls in. And Derek Mann is actually voiced by a very famous 90s actor named Joe Mantegna. He was like the go-to mobster. He was in fucking Bronx Tale. He's in a bunch of shit. He was in Thinner. But Joe Mantegna, you only hear his voice. He's one of like those special guest callers that was like a celebrity. And in this episode, Frasier agrees to do a fist fight with this character in front of Cafe Nervosa the next day. And through the course of the episode, he admits to his father he was never going to fight the guy, and his dad's pissed because his dad's old school, like Martin Crane should be, and is like, you're a pussy. You're not going to fight this guy. This is just like when you were a kid. And he tricks Frasier into like agreeing to fight this dude and then stops it. He's a cop, so he calls in his cop buddies to break it up right before they actually fight. But It's fucking funny as shit. It's like a classic season 1 episode. And I just wanted to call it out because it not only is hilarious, but it does feature another 90s legend, Joe Mantegna, who I love, and who's one of America's greatest mob actors of all time. So.
And one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Yeah, Joe Mantegna. Also, Joe Mantegna was in that movie Thinner I mentioned. If you want a funny 90s horror movie, watch that because it's fucking hilarious. Thinner.
Now, my only call out is in 1993 In Living Colors, airing episode 105. And our good buddy, not really, David Edwards from The Real World, he would transition from that reality show on MTV that same year into going to one of the greatest sketch comedy shows of all time. And he makes his debut in the Truth Williams skit. Yeah.
He did it, Steve.
For a moment.
little bit. He did it. But that was, I'm blown away that we got an episode of Doogie Howser that he's literally just gadded out, Steve. I want like a new episode of this where we revisit this and it's just him just straight laying waste to he's like a vigilante killer in whatever town this is in. I'm taking out the
Doogie's
trash.
First MacGyver's in the hood, now Doogie's in the hood. Everyone's in the hood.
What kind of hood
And also
is
on that
this?
same day in 1993, Power Rangers are airing the episode Green with Evil Part 3, The Rescue. And Tommy is finally here. This is a actual 5-part series, 5-part mini episode of an episode. And on this day, October 7, 93, they're airing Green with Evil Part 3. This was an important time, I feel, for Power Rangers fans because it introduces us to the Green Ranger.
Yeah, this is the greatest storyline, the greatest character. And honestly, as far as that franchise goes, that guy, what's his name? Jason something? I forget his name. Yeah. The Green Ranger, he was like a legacy character. He was in this. He became the White Ranger. He was in other subsequent iterations of Power Rangers, of which there's been dozens. There's like Power Rangers Turbo, Ninja, fucking... Scat, who knows? That's Zordon. Yeah. But he was like this, so that was like a momentous time for this franchise because they got this actor, and they just like, I feel like the Green Ranger saga is probably what they call this for America, sort of catapulted that show into a next level of success because everyone loved the Green Ranger.
Yeah,
that's kind of when I really bought into that show.
Universally, he'd probably be a lot of people's favorite. A lot of women, they would prefer Trini more so than Kim because they didn't like that stereotype. Oh, she's the pink one. Oh, yeah, as usual, check out our sister shows, Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesday and Over the Culture with Steve G every Sunday. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good shit, and tell us where your aunts live. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.